How's it going, gamers? It's
Stanley Richard.
here to talk to you about, in my opinion, or in my experience, the ultimate way to get to know somebody, to test their personality, basically like a test, get to know you question. And in essence, this really checks a few boxes. So it tests their open-mindedness, slash stubbornness, of course, two sides of the same coin. It checks their, well, primarily that, because that reveals a lot about a person. It checks whether or not they are prone to things like drama, if they're sensitive, quote, neurotic. It tests if they can hold a conversation or not, if they're interested in you, which would be they try to hold a conversation with you. It tests, excuse me. Let's see. It tests whether they do a lot of research based on things they've heard about, tests how much time they spend online, tests their general knowledge of trivial fact. Trivial in quotes, of course, because this matters quite a bit. So, basically, the question you want to ask them, and it is one question, is, and let me move a little further away from the camera, because apparently that's uncomfortable. How do they pronounce this word? Now, I'm not going to say it myself, otherwise to iterate my point. I hope that made sense. Basically, and I'll give you the answers. I'll start with if they say GIF, because there's a lot of branches they can go off of from GIF. So if they say GIF, then explain to them a few different things. That the creator of the word and the animation decides that it's pronounced GIF. And you also want to watch if they give you examples of things like graphic or not really sure many others with the hard G, but other word examples with the hard G. If they get heated about it, if they can't really hold their own about it. Really depends on, mostly you're looking for their reaction. And if they react in a sort of like hostile manner, it's like, if you question it, because the questioning in it really gets it out of them. Like, why do you pronounce it that way? You could also ask, And if they're in a hostile manner, they're like, well, obviously the English vernacular explains, and this Miss Arbor in my 4th grade English class said that it's GIF and it's a G, like gigantic and graph and all that. But, the same goes the other way, too, like with GIF. If they're like, or they mention the peanut butter example. If they're like, well, it's not a J, so it's GIF. If they say some stuff like that, massive red flag, the size of China's, I'm telling you. But if they say something like GIF, for example, and they say like gigantic and stuff like that, and the key with if they say GIF, if how to tell if it's a red flag is if they don't mention the creator saying GIF, because otherwise there's relatively few examples for pronouncing GIF. Sure, there's the fact that in acronyms, you're meant to pronounce it like G, GIF, sort of, with that sort of, there's this whole explanation for it, but it's basically how in-depth of an explanation they give you and how heated they get about their opinion or the opposing side, or if they're indifferent or not. This really tells you if they're prone to leaning one way or the other, if they enjoy drama, if they're a neurotic person, a lot of things all at once. And, again, with the research thing, like if they give you examples of other vernacular that has a hard or soft G, or if they mention the creator and how he says it like GIF rather than GIF, well then this really tells you all you have to know about a person, right? And then if they really get into it with you, that could mean that they're interested, not so much. It could mean a whole myriad of things. Really just opens the door for sending signals to one another. Now, here's a little bit of a kicker. How if you pronounce it, if you want to really get technical, which is another argument for the GIF side, is if you really want to get technical with the English language, how you pronounce this word is YIF. Yif. Yes. YIF. If they say it's pronounced YIF, they're probably deeply intellectual. They're of high status, epic, No, I'm just kidding. They could very well just be a furry. They could be someone who just gets far too technical with things. It really also depends on if they're really full of themselves about this answer, right? Yif, it's pronounced yif. Bazinga, you know, something like that is not the type you want to mess with. So with yif, or they could have seen that Tumblr post that was reposted all over Instagram for like a few days. That could also tell you that much about them. So you could ask them about meme culture and stuff like that to really see where they derive their entertainment from, where they choose to spend the few God-given hours that each human soul is given on this earth with their memories. But anyway, gamers, that, in my opinion, thus far, is the ultimate personality test. One other thing you could do is see if they put the shopping cart back. I'm sure you've seen the post on 4chan. It's like there's no societal obligation, and especially if they're alone, if they put the shopping cart back to them, because additionally, it's the worker's job and stuff like that. It's basically a self-governing test. You can check that out basically anywhere online. It probably got a pretty decent explanation, better one than I can give you. I'm this word expert in quotes. But yeah, I think one other thing you can ask is like, oh wow, I completely forgot. But hey, if I remember, I'll probably make another video about it like this. And yeah, that's about it, gamers. That's how you can basically test anyone's personality, the level of neuroticism, the pigheadedness, because when you're, like, for example, if you're explaining to them, hey, look, the creator creates it this way, you can see if they have respect towards, quote, authority or authority figures in people who invented it, so they have ownership over it, right? Or if they respect a different opinion, if they're willing to listen to your newfound knowledge on this matter. You can just simply, like, debate back and forth the opposing side and see if they're like, that's a good point. You know what? People do say gigantic, but people do also say gift, and gift has an I as the second letter, you know? So they could say, well, I can say it both ways. I see how it is. Or, oh, hey, I just might say Yif, you know. It's like the yellow team in Pokemon Go. You know, red, Jif, blue, Yif, whatever. And no, yellow is Yif. Oh, God. Well, anyway, gamers, I'm going to go eat and hopefully think of some more decent content for you guys. I love you more than half to death. Thank you. The camera cut off in post, but what I was going to say, obviously, is that I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you gamers tomorrow, all right? I love you, specifically you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have watched the video and realized that again. I love you, specifically. I'll see you tomorrow.